I wish good things to you who's watching this. I am Alexey, and with me today is the 2024 gold medalist of the Mind Sports Olympiad, the Portuguese master Guilherme Neves, also known with his screen name Glovier. Hi, Guilherme.
Hi, Alexey. Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me again. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, Guilherme is gonna help me today covering not one, but two matches. The first match, which is starting in around 4 minutes, is not going to be impartial at all. You'll see why in a second. We're going to have Rui Costa with the screen name leodavinci playing against the Polish master mtuu. And then, half an hour later, we're having ourselves another Portuguese-speaking player, the Brazilian Warta playing against the Vietnamese master Portugal. So both of these matches have some serious tournament implications. Now, first of all, this is the updated, or almost updated, tournament table in Group E, which is where mtuu and leodavinci are, and it looks like they're occupied the first two spots, but not really, because Leo lost his first match earlier today against visitor Q, so now he's actually on match one in 3 matches. So this means that in order to have a chance to qualify, he would really need to win today, or at the very least lose not too badly. So this would be the situation. If he wins today against mtuu, then he's one of the several players, well, one of the 2 players with 2 match victories. Because again, because Leo lost to Visitor Q is actually now on 3 victories instead of 2. So let's say if Leo wins today, he's on 2 victories, and then his last round, I forgot who he's playing. I think he's playing Kissamo. I think these two haven't had gone at each other. Then this would be truly a match for the 3rd spot. Now, if he loses today, then well, qualification would be very much less likely. mtuu, on the other side, has already guaranteed himself one of the top 3 spots, and what he will be fighting for is the 1st place, for which he also will need to win this match. The 1st place gets extra perks that you go straight to the quarterfinals as opposed to the round of 16, or round of 24 rather, and in the quarterfinals you also get yourself presumably an easier opponent. Hi, mtuu. So the game is starting in 2 minutes. Before we start, Guilherme, any thoughts about the players? Obviously, you know your teammate very well. Do you know the Polish master that way? Well, have you played against them? Who do you think is favored, by how much, and why?
I've played mtu once. I won, so I don't think that's great statistics to add. I think the Polish master is certainly favored. Obviously, he's reached the 700 mark several times. Who is still working on that, but who has been playing like crazy well as of late, defeating very high-level opponents in the MSO and even this tournament. So I think he'll put on a good show and a good match. And obviously, I have a big bias towards Rui, so I need to wish him the best of tiles. And mtu not so great tiles, but you'll be here to counteract my bias, Alexey.
Well, sort of, yeah, I'll try to be sort of kind of impartial. Anyway, I just hope for spectacular Carcassonne. But yeah, I do believe that mtuu is also actually in really good shape. So you can see that currently he is rated 675, which is just short of the threshold of a master. But he has even crossed the 800 threshold, I believe. And is, one of the top 3 strongest Polish players, along with Tomasz and Maciej, who are the former world champions. So certainly I would maybe give him 65%. Leo, for those viewers who don't know, recently finished top 8 in the Mind Sports Olympiad, a huge international tournament for 200 participants, and he defeated one of the highest rated players online, Nalaheim, in the process, so is also in good shape at the moment. The loss earlier today against Visitor Q definitely should not be helping his morale, but what should be is the fact that he already completed an 8-point city in the first game, has a lead on the scoreboard, but not for long, as mtuu gets himself a umbrella tile, finishes a city, starts a new road. Leo decides to drop an interesting farmer. Does not go for the city move. He figures that he can invade mtu's little city a little bit later. Just wants to go for the temple on the farm. mtu with the monastery, with the first monastery of the game, gets 4 points, pre-finishes his road. Presumably, Leo is going to become neighbors with the pole, position his own 5-pointer, but the orientation of the road is a bit tricky. So where do you turn the road, Guillermo? Do you just put it out in the open? Do you stick it into Red City? Or do you occupy a different monastery spot entirely?
I think I would put it out in the open, occupy the 5-point spot, pointing not into the city, because it's possible for us to, as Rui, to meeple the city before mtu joins, and like that it's a bit easier to get the city not be locked in that particular space. And I'd like also to point out that earlier this game mtu discarded the CCCC, so the big city tile is out. So sadly for Rui, he won't be the last player to play. So that's a bit unfortunate.
Yeah, that's actually really, really unfortunate, because this means that the Portuguese player will be the second, like he will be, basically he will be at a disadvantage 2 games in a row. So that's what it's going to mean. So now he's going to have worse endgame probabilities towards the end, and this will be the same case in the next game, regardless of the outcome of this one, because in the next game, mtu is going to be the starting player. And this means that he will be trying to take care of business before the endgame. So as you said, he did successfully meeple the city. There were also some other possible scenarios, such as maybe blocking this city, but didn't come to be. Leo with another monastery presumably is going to meeple it. Actually, it's not obvious where. Do you have any?
Yeah, I was going to say exactly that. It's not
Yes.
any placement.
So let's have a look at the pros and cons. So actually, the spot that jumps up to me is at the bottom. It's just pure 4 points. You might want to also go over here for stacking, but then you're kind of forced to help Red a little bit by building over here. Red, on the other hand, is also forced to help you. So it's a bit of a wash. If you go over here at the top, it is nice on one hand, but then this square with the city cap is a little bit vulnerable. You could also go over here to support your city, but then this square becomes vulnerable. So between all these options, what do you recommend to your teammate, Guillermo?
Maybe the 4 points at the bottom. Either that, or I don't think stacking diagonally ever works out fine, so I wouldn't do that. So either the 4 points at the bottom or the 3 points at the top, getting a bit of Red City as well. Because Red can attack the joint city, actually anyone can, but maybe if you want to prevent that, just meepling there is not the worst idea.
Yeah, that's actually pretty interesting. So it's really disincentivizes an attack. Oh, but Leo chose a much, much more direct approach. And mtu just instantly finishes the city. But why would he do that? I think we witnessed the first misstep by the pole. And I think I know why this is the case. He just assumed that Leo was going to meeple the monastery in a different place. And then now he simply decides to go with the move that he had already planned. But you really should pause for a second and reassess the position. Because if I were Leo, I would have indeed meepled the monastery at the bottom. There is some additional reasons for this. It's not just 4 points. It controls a lovely road end. It gives you another monastery spot. So really it has got a lot of good stuff going on. So even though this monastery here has strategic merits, and now we can see how Leo gets a 5th points and starts controlling mtu city over here. Even though it has strategic merits, like if I am the Polish player, this move is not what I'm necessarily expecting from my opponent. So it might be possible that Red had prepared this move with a different board shape in mind. In the meantime, Red starts a new road. Leo with a scoring tile presumably is going to score 2 points. And I guess he has to score them over here. Exactly like this. Although I prefer a slightly different move. I prefer pointing the road end a little bit higher, because we don't really want to use the monastery spot over here, and I think we'd rather use the road end. And I also don't like exposing this road end for potentially red using with a curve plus straight line plus curve combo, and we can see that red is now going for this. Now red of course can still use a curve plus curve combo regardless, but what this road end does is that even a straight line is something that red can benefit from, so he can build his road around like this. So Leo, with a scoring tile, presumably wants to take care of the city cap lying around. We're not in a rush to build a monastery over here. Or he might go at the top, exposing red's vulnerable square over here. Or he just might go over here on the right, leaving the city cap for later and going for a rhombus-shaped city. Any preference for you, Guillermo?
I would take care of the city cap open. Put some pressure on the red city, and it's quite safe because we did turn the crossroads, such as if red tries something there, we are not really worried about it. But Rui goes for the rhombus-shaped city, which is also fair. Could be the other move I would have in mind if not taking the city cap.
Well, he does happen to create a monastery spot for MTU in the process.
Yeah.
Leo, of course, can now take care of this, maybe put a bit of pressure on the monastery, also put some pressure on this field invasion square. Instead, he decides to play against red's roads, and he's so far successful, but red will now take the first crack of the city cap. And one of the reasons why I really like taking the city cap, because it created a nice threat of getting another city cap and dropping a farmer whilst completing a 6-point city like this. And it was not necessarily the easiest threat to deal with because the square was restricted, but now we can see Leo's other plan in the works. He is just one detail away before finishing a lovely 12 or even 14-point city, and MTU is trying to block, but unsuccessfully, as a Dorito tile is drawn by the Portuguese player. And Guillermo is already smiling, I can see, because of that.
For no particular reason at all.
Yeah, you just remembered something that somebody said sometime.
Yeah. Very funny, fun thing.
Well, so what does MTU do? I mean, probably just the same thing. Like, this city at the bottom is not so bad. There's no way to block it in one move. All restrictions are still manageable. We can still get the horse tile or even multiple horse tiles to score additional road points. So probably, as MTU, I'm looking to just go over here and cover up the city from one side, potentially develop it into a threat. Also, even though I'm a little bit behind, I'm actually doing fine, because we have a monastery over here for 6 points. We have a road, which is so likely to turn into a 6-point road. But instead, MTU decides to drop the last farmer on the field. I did not see that coming, Guillermo. Now, this is an interesting geometrical idea. Oh, you did? Would you have done that?
But for yellow, rather. I was going to say, Rui's probably going to drop a farmer there, so now Rui won't drop farmer there.
Well, I guess that's the point.
Anticipation move. Yeah, that's kind of an anticipation move.
And I think now MTU's idea is to try and secure this main farm just using its geometrical properties without necessarily even having the meeples to do that. So his plan is just he invades here, and then he's going to build barricades around it. But Leo, here's the thing. Now Leo can just really abuse that field situation. He can simply start a new city and then create a field connection platform. So if he just goes over here on the right, although there are several ways of doing this, he could point the city right, he could point the city upwards, he could even leave this square alone and just do something against one of two MTU cities simply to prevent him from getting easy meeples back. But let's say if we do take the city right now, then if red goes over here and tries to play against Leo's city, then he's suddenly restricting his own field connection square. And it is quite possible that this monastery, as safe as it looks right now, gets eventually blocked. It is increasingly likely given the fact that 2 of road monasteries have already gone out, so there is 1 fewer type of tile that fits into this square, and this gives more blocking opportunities for yellow. But going to this move exactly, so how do you take advantage tactically of mtu's courageous farmers? Would you have done the same as Leo, or would you have turned the city the other way perhaps?
I think I would have followed exactly the same steps as Leo is taking. He's just exploiting the fact that red doesn't have meeples and he really wants his red meeple to connect. So to create a city next to it is just another opportunity to score points, drop a farmer, equalize, and then probably win the field altogether, since I expect yellow to get the long-term meeple majority.
Yeah, I would expect that majority simply stemming from the city downwards. Like the pattern that mtu is building, it does not look particularly safe, although Leo does not get road tiles to take advantage of it. Well, maybe he does, we're going to find out soon. But mtu with this city cap. So he's thinking whether it's worth to just complete one of his field's connections, but I don't think he's going to do either. Like, I'm going to try and predict the Pole's move here. He's going to go over here, point the city cap to the left, try to draw another city tile later over here, and at the moment simply eliminate this fields connection platform from Leo. But he does not do that. Instead, he connects directly. So I didn't guess correctly. Leo, of course, is going to finish a city and drop a farmer.
Yeah, that's my move.
And then I presume that red's idea...
Although no triangles with... no Doritos without roads remain. Or is that... yeah.
Yeah.
All 5 are out. So
but 2 vanillas
kind of
and a splitter.
2 vanillas and a splitter. Yeah.
Yeah, and
But
also...
people can also go around places, so yeah, I'll drop a farmer there.
Oh, no. I think Leo's being unnecessarily stingy with his meeples, and this certainly gives mtu a more chance than he has to have. Because I think, because you said this idea of going around that square, right, through mtu's monastery, and I have a suspicion that Leo simply didn't see this idea, because like whenever you drop a farmer, you think of going over here, right? But your idea of actually invading with a farmer like this would work like a charm, because there are many road tiles. And if we just drop a farmer here as yellow, we just need to be super patient, because mtu will want to go over here eventually, to finish his monastery, and then if we have a farmer over here, then after this square is covered, we can go yoinks and add a straight line over here. I don't know exactly why we have to say that exact onomatopoeia, but that's what it is. And then we get some, yeah, then we get some sort of a crossroad tile, and then we invade like this. But look at mtu, he's now really working that field geometry. So he sacrifices 2 points and the safety of his city simply to not allow Leo to drop a farmer, which he forwent on his last move. And now such a farmer is not possible, because if you go here, then you immediately expose the square to a block. Moreover,
it's a very strong move by mtu. It's a very strong move to block that altogether.
It is. It's a very interesting geometrical idea, kind of trying to swindle this game and win it that way. Yeah, so Leo now drops a farmer, but mtu now is going to block that square. So told you. I have no doubt that this move is going to follow. There isn't anything better. So the massive swindle here. And now mtu can safely finish this monastery, although it's actually not that easy, but he will need back-to-back curves to do that. In the meantime, Leo at least can score a little bit, gets a 4-point road, and still has 14 points on the board extra. mtu gets his monastery meeple back. Finally has some meeples to play with. Leo with a scoring tile. Presumably wants to get a 7-pointer there. Or maybe he doesn't. Maybe he wants to go at the top and leave the city cap for later. So the issue with going here and scoring points is, yes, you get your nice 7 points, but then your farmer stays trapped at 6 points forever because there are just no green squares for further development. Maybe he's okay with this, or maybe he doesn't want to score at all. Maybe he goes for some sort of blocking move, either playing against mtu city in the north or playing against mtu city in the south.
I think I'll just get a meeple back at the top. I feel like as yellow, we're gonna need some meeples later. And there are some crazy ideas that the field of yellow, the set 6-point field, could join to the big field, like with a monastery next to the monastery in the double curves. So now it's not possible, sadly, but there was some fun things that could have happened.
Oh, they were indeed. So now Leo is going to get his monastery meeple back, even though MTU tried to prevent this rather actively. But yeah, I just wanted to draw that on the board. So bam, yoinks, jumped. And this farmer goes like this into the main field. And I think this also is an issue, again, that we see with Leo. I think he just simply didn't see these runner-runner field connection opportunities, just looking at opportunities how he could connect with a single tile. But then again, he's also 21 points on the scoreboard. And at this point, he probably
got the double curve.
He got the double curve, that's true,
back.
yeah. Yeah, but then he can also start thinking about how he can win with this without fields at all. So it's a very interesting situation here. So you can either, again, play against the city of MTU at the top, or you can maybe start blocking the fields connection options, because it is important to point out that this farmer has not yet made it into the field. Okay, so he decides to play against MTU's top city, and he will not be recovering it, but the bottom city is actually developing quite nicely. I wonder if this were the greater threat. Leo could have gone over here and limited this square to just one tile, but now I'm sure that the Pole is going to score 3 points here. And this is exactly what happens. Now, this exposes the field a little bit. It's actually possible now to drop a farmer over here, connect through this curve, and expose a city connection over here. But not with this tile necessarily, as we're likely to see Leo simply continuing his city at the top, as recommended by Guillermo a couple of moves ago, or he might even start playing against the city at the bottom, because the city at the bottom has become a real threat. The Portuguese player may have underestimated its potential. And he drops another farmer, which makes a lot of sense. First of all, if MTU successfully completes his city, then this guy's going to get 9 points for insurance, so that's something nice to have. If Leo gets the shot at this city cap, he will be getting himself 7 extra points and then putting pressure on this square. In the meantime, the Pole gets himself some road meeples back and is close on the scoreboard. Leo with the monastery tile, and not an obvious spot to use it. Actually, he just might go over here and equalize the monastery of red. But then I wonder if this is helpful enough. He might want to go over here and instead try blocking or restricting red's monastery, given that there's only one monastery remaining in the deck. So, do you prefer meepling your own monastery for 6 points and just trying to outrun the big field of your opponent, or do you go one square above and try to preserve your meeple majority and maybe even set up some field attacking platforms like this?
I think I prefer to not help red, because red's meeple actually is not connected to the field yet. So we could try to block it on the top, like making so it needs a crossroads. There are still 3 remaining, but maybe needs the quadruple crossroads, and that's only 1. Then we draw the monastery, and so I like, in that sense, I like Leo's move, and we get the other monastery anyway, which is very good.
Yeah, so now, well, I guess we could block, but then we don't have to anymore, because I don't believe the city is realistically completable. It would need to have exactly both remaining vanilla tiles. In the meantime, mtuu makes like a borderline genius move. This move over here takes 4 points, but also sets up an interesting city completion pattern with a Dorito and a cow. And this is a move which is very low variance, so I would have probably played like this, simply setting up a Dorito to finish my city. But then looking at the Dorito count, we're actually very low on them. There are only 2 Doritos remaining. And this would mean that whilst we're waiting for our Dorito, it's quite likely that Leo would draw something like a vanilla cap, go over here, score the point for himself, and expose an attacking platform against our city before we have a chance to complete it. So it's a very, very deeply thought out move from the Polish player. And I'm not even sure I would have found it myself. I might have gone for your YOLO routes, just give me 1 Dorito. There's also another thing about this move. Even if mtuu gets a Dorito on his next move, it's not going to be a big regret. He can just use the Dorito like this to cover up and still have a 75% chance of finishing an even bigger city with one of the 2 remaining cows. But in the meantime, Leo is still deciding what to do with this monastery. So I'm wondering if you want to set up some sort of field opportunities, or are you looking to go over here at the bottom, restricting that road Dorito plus cow idea that I just described?
I think at the bottom would be strong, because there are no regular Doritos, neither splitters, so then the path to completion would be find like a tube-shaped thing and then a cap.
Yeah.
So I think I would play the monastery to prevent the Dorito play.
Yeah, by the way, also it needs to point out that, of course, something like this plus this is also possible. So there's still 1 tube, and there's still 2 of these. No, there's still 1 of this guy remaining. So this is a very flexible move from the Pole. It's also exposed as a field connection platform, which he now uses to fight for the little field of Leo at the bottom. This move over here, I extremely, extremely dislike, because it actually helps. It just helps Red. Well, up until this move, there was a realistic chance of Red managing to get himself 2 city caps and recovering the monastery. Also, Red's field connection is now unblockable. He just needs to draw 1 of the 2 remaining city caps, and mtuu does indeed get the Dorito tile and cover up his city for a 75% chance of completion. Now, an incredibly good position for the Polish player, but Leo's still 11 points ahead on the scoreboard, and 2 extra meeples. Will he put them to good use to maybe drop some farmers?
You could drop now 1 at the top, blocking Red City permanently, then joining, yeah.
Yeah, so he quite easily sees this idea. So again, like, Leo has no trouble seeing those 1-move field connections. And actually, this also gives him a chance to use his meeple majority to even better use, going over here at the top and then connecting like this, so this sort of chain reaction. The issue with that is, again, that this farmer has not actually connected to the main field just yet. So now it might be the case that it's in Red's interest to go over here, or maybe first going over here, blocking that square, or trying to block that square, and then putting on this square, pressure on this square again. No, mtuu goes for the field re-invasion. I did not see that coming, dropping his last meeple. He now has only 2 tiles available in the entire deck that can give him a meeple back. There's no way to recover a monastery, because the only tile that fit here is the 1 remaining vanilla city cap, and he needs it for both squares. And I guess the plan for the Pole is to eventually finish a city over here, or get a majority on this big field and still keep using it geometrical properties for restrictions. But from Leo's perspective, there is actually an easy way, well, not like this, for creating threats. So if I were Red, I would have gone over here tried exploring this field connection option through this curve over here, but I'm not sure if Leo sees it. He does get a curve. Now it says, I guess in his interest, trying to connect to the main field, at the very least forcing mtu to work for his re-entry. Or maybe not. Maybe he wants to go here at the top, trying to set up some sort of blocking attack against mtu. If he's successful, then he connects to the field. Or maybe he wants to go on the right, trying to block red's connection to his little field at the bottom. So many options. So do we connect to the field, Guilherme, or do we block?
I was thinking maybe we drop another attempt to connect at the bottom. Because if we connect to the field, we tie, but red's is just going to win the field over again. So I think we need another farmer somewhere. And I would have preferred to see the vertical splitters at the top, putting some pressure on red's entry, because now it's a bit, he's doing the pressure now, but I think if pressure were applied earlier, it would have been a bit stronger. And
now... So you were suggesting that the farmer at the bottom, right, which sort of goes over here like this. I really like this idea. The issue that I'm seeing with Leo not going there earlier is the fact that more and more crossroads have been drawn, and the more crossroads are drawn, the more dangerous that connection becomes. So before last move, it was fairly high prob.
Yeah, I was going to say exactly what you were saying. Last move were like 3 connects, now it's only 2.
So Leo manages to get his farmer into the field. mtu gets his farmer onto the bottom field, and now Leo is maybe thinking about blocking this guy. How are we doing for tile counts? Well, there are not many straight lines remaining. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In fact, there's 0 straight lines remaining, but there is still 1 crossroads, so this restriction would not quite work. And starting tiles, well, they are
1 as well.
Yeah, they're starting tiles as well. And yellow does indeed go for the fields connection at the bottom. And now he gets the fields connection.
Works.
And he now has the temporary majority on the field. mtu really needs to get some sort of crossroads or curve or starting tile soon enough in order to connect. Can he do this? Yes, he gets the starting tile, so connection is complete. One of the cows are drawn by Leonardo da Vinci, so only a 50% chance of finishing this city over here for mtu. 13 points down on the scoreboard for the pole, and the field is completely equal. So it's really now about this city or nothing, and Leo still has a meeple to play. And that's actually very interesting. Like, what do you do with this? Do you try and score a little bit somehow and try to outrun your opponent drawing the last cow tile? Or do you go for some field ideas? So, for example, given the fact that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 2 curves are still remaining, this move, trying to connect through the outside of a curve, is not necessarily the craziest, because it could happen that maybe mtu draws the cow tile on the next move, and then you draw the curve and reclaim leadership on the field. Or maybe going over here for a 50-50 connection through the last remaining vanilla tile is not the worst. He decided that it is the worst. Instead, he sets up another field connection platform at the top, which I'm sure is going to be eliminated by mtu in due course. Now, 3 combos of tiles fit there, either curve-curve, or curve-crossroads, or crossroads-curve. So it's way too dangerous to leave alone. I'm pretty sure that the Polish player will find that move in due course.
I think Leo just needs not to do anything much crazy. Even if the Pole player gets his tile, I think they'll be quite neck and neck in the scoreboard. So if Leo just finds some way to score some points now before the pole gets the cow, I think he'll be fine.
But will he? So now a bit, I think that Leo has like a chance to win the game 100%. If you just go over here and invade, there's still 2 curves remaining if I'm not mistaken. And then you win if you either draw the curve for invasion, one of the two curves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, there's still 2. Or if you draw one of the cow tiles. But maybe you can also just score 4 points. I'm really surprised.
2 curves. Yeah, with 2 curves, the connection it must be very close to 100%. Because if you get the tile, the cow, we always win.
Oh, right. It's 95% actually. Yeah, it's 95 because your opponent still has 3 tile draws from your perspective, and I guess you lose if they get curve this. But instead, he decides to get the 4 points. Maybe he calculated this is going to be 100% win for him. MTU with a dagger tile. And now we see why he didn't want to block the field connection. He really cared a lot about simply Leo not scoring for this city. Very, very difficult decision for the Pole here.
Yeah, the Pole needs the cow next move to have an opportunity to do something.
Yeah, because he needs to finish the city and then score. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The city is going to be 18 points. Putting reds and yellow completely equal, but Leo now gets himself a scoring tile. And I'm sure that a 4-point move should take care of business. There are plenty of ways of doing this, either scoring directly, or just meepling a big city. No, I don't think so. I think we just score 4 points. And then even if MTU gets the big tile, then we just pick up this long road.
Yeah, because it's 2 curves and the cow remaining.
Yeah.
If we counted correct.
I think so. And also, I guess Leo could try being flashy and find some sort of field invasion, but I don't think it's really possible. Because then, like, with 2 curves and a cow, if you find yourself an invasion through a curve, then you get... Oh, actually, it's possible. He has a flashy way to win. He can go on the right, drop a 0-point farmer. Oh, come on, Leo, the style points.
Yeah, I see
the
it.
style points. So this, and then if you get the cow, you win because your opponent did not complete your city. And if you get one of the 2 curves, you win because you get into the field. That would have been the more stylish way to do this.
Cool.
Yes. I would have loved to see that, but instead the Portuguese player does not want to rely too much on tile counting. He simply goes over here for a 6-point road. Well, I doubt there's really anything else. And as lovely as this MTU's idea was, just that meeple disadvantage really did him in. As a result of this block guy over here, MTU gets a 5-point road, and I believe the difference is going to be like under 10 points for sure, something like 6, 7?
Yeah, I think like 7, 8, surely.
Oh, wait, we forgot about Leo's field on the right.
Because of the field, yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's more than this,
10.
actually, yeah. So MTU was actually in an incredibly difficult position. So he needed to finish his city 2 moves before the end so that he could still have a shot at invading the farm. So that was the situation.
9 points.
9 points is the difference, yeah. Anyway, an absolutely spectacular game. So the Pole with some unorthodox move, dropping his last farmer very, very early, trying to work that field geometry. And ultimately, Leo just managed to outscore him despite this beautifully constructed city in the center. Well, I hope that the second game is as spectacular as the first one. I congratulate... well, my co-host as well as anybody else who's watching for Team Portugal. My commiserations to Polish fans, but need I remind you that the match is not over, that it is the best of 3, and that also MTU has the starting player advantage and already 4 points on the board and already a new city cap, so this position is looking pretty good for red. In the meantime, Leo has crossed the important psychological threshold of 600 ELO, or maybe important to some people. I do like round numbers quite a little bit.
this tile, it's not obvious where to place it. I don't think you want to put it on the triple city yet. So you need to start the city somewhere.
I probably prefer going over here, maybe just exerting some pressure on this square. It's also possible to just go here and start a 2-point road and like add this tile indirectly, but with these sort of shenanigans, they are much better not with starting tiles, but Doritos, because like if we go over here, we get to start a loop road, and then maybe with some sort of cylindric tile, we get to go over here, build a big city like this. Like a warship. Leo decides to prolong his road, but the issue with that is that the city is in a vulnerable position. It will now get delayed.
Not his. Yeah, the problem for the road is that the road is not really his.
Yeah, exactly. Like, well, I guess he's thinking, what if MTU draws something like an umbrella tile? At the very least, I'm going to get an extra road point. But the thing is, like, that extra road point is not worth the meeple safety. Like, for example, red goes over here, and even if yellow does not get blocked, then yellow could draw something like an extender tile and fail to benefit from this rapid city building procedure. But there are also other positional downside of this move. It gives back a monastery spot. It gives back an L formation for blocking. For example, MTU might even ignore this city and go over here instead and set up the block of this yellow city using a Dorito tile like this. So it's also quite a common blocking pattern. And probably this is what he's debating between this move or the two possible blocks. The two, and he goes for the L formation block, which is pretty interesting. I'm not sure I would have done that. Of course, Leo immediately defended. He's super happy. This square is really safe. The monastery spot has been taken out. We're also setting up a lovely 4-point road going through our city like this. If there is an umbrella tile, for example, to score through a curve. And this city can eventually even be completed. It's not unrealistic. Leo simply continues his city. MTU just keeps blocking and blocking and blocking. This is about the best that he can do with the road. Leo presumably going to continue his city on the right. There's really nothing else that he can do. Well, I mean, he can start a new city at the bottom.
He could. Yeah, and the city is quite safe-ish. There is that vulnerable spot near the leftmost horse tile, but it's not a big deal. So it's a nice city position. And MTU is really going hard on trying to block, but Leo is getting nice tiles to get out of it.
Yeah, and in the meantime, MTU's blocking efforts do not pay off as Leo gets himself the first 8 points on the scoreboard. But, oh, I'm shocked about this move. I don't like it. What was the problem of just going over here at the bottom and renewing that road attacking idea? I think it was very nice. At the very least, it would have made a forcing move against Leo. Maybe... Ah, I see. Maybe red is trying to finish the city and set up an attacking platform against this guy, perhaps?
Maybe. The problem for that is that that guy could also place a tile there and then set up an attacking spot against the Polish player city, so...
Oh, this is true. So you mean like if something like an umbrella goes here, sets up a 4-point road,
exactly.
And then something like a horse goes here and blocks this guy? Yeah, this is certainly true. The one saving grace is that since this square is unrestricted, there are many more tiles that go here, so red is in fact much more likely to draw the tile that he needs for this square before yellow draws the tile that he needs for this square. But Leo first draws a tile which actually doesn't fit anywhere but his city. Well, I guess technically he could go here or here, but these would not be the most inspiring moves. It also needs to be pointed out that all 4 starting tiles have gone out, so it gives both sides many more blocking opportunities. For example, this square this seemingly harmless road square is actually dangerous. Something like a cow tile over here from yellow would be quite devastating against this poor road guy. Leo is probably going to start...
Yeah. You were saying that no starter tiles are left, and also the dagger, there is an asymmetry. Left turning daggers are also out, so cities are quite vulnerable.
Yeah, well, this city is really only afraid of the starting tile because it needs... If a dagger fits here, it's going to be the other type of dagger, of which there's still 3 remaining. But I'm really wondering why Leo is thinking so long about this one, because there's literally just one place to start a new city, like it's over here. Maybe he's thinking of going over here instead, but I would really, really dislike that move, precisely because of the dagger asymmetry, and mtuu is now going to try and do some more blocking. This also happens to be the only legal move for the Pole that doesn't harm himself, so it wasn't a very difficult find. Leo with a road end, probably contemplating the option of separating his road with red, whilst also obstructing red city in a number of ways, but it would give red a meeple back immediately. Another option yellow could conceive is going at the bottom, pre-finishing the road, hoping for a splitter tile later, and also putting some pressure on this road square. Hi Andres, hi LR, hi Farachi, hi Nepamai. Yeah, you were saying, so what would you do here, Guilherme?
I think separating the roads now, yes, it gives meeple back, but puts red city in a very uncomfortable place. So I think, yeah, I like that move, because the road is... Yellow's road is already much larger than red's was. And this also comes with the benefit of endangering the city, so I like it. Despite the fact that it gives a meeple back, yeah. But if we block them, block the other city, it's like 1 for 1.
Yep.
And the city is arguably worth more.
And look at this, Leo decides not to defend his own city. I think perhaps underestimating this chance of the city being completed. Like, this pattern is incredibly, incredibly dangerous, and my move would have been just to go over here. But I guess the plan of Rui here is to simply block this square first, have mtuu trapped with just 1 point, and then his city here, which is at already 6 and counting, will be like a victory in an indirect mini battle, something like this. Leo now has a chance to continue one of his cities, or even to go for an ambitious project and even connect his 2 cities, or even use this tile as a blocking tile instead and go over here and try and set up some sort of block against this square. He goes to the right. Carol with a cow tile goes for your usual lip-shaped pattern, hoping for 4 more Doritos and 1 more cow. Leo has the 1 more cow. Probably considering... Hey, is it crazy if we just go over here at the top, trying to just set up the lip-shaped pattern ourselves? You see, like, imagine if we had a curve over here. Then this move would have been unbelievably dangerous, because bam, bam, we cover up, we finish a city for 28 points. But now, if we go over here, well, mtuu can still quite easily go and block us with a straight line. So, do you still try and pose the threat, at least force the opponent to be hasty enough and try block us with a perhaps valuable tile? Or do you block your opponent instead? And there we have our answer. Is this what you would have played, Guilherme?
No, because I was looking at the city thinking that would be a nice city, but I do like this move rather much, very much. Because mtuu decided not to kill the city immediately, though he had options to do it, so I don't think Rui should yet go there. If MTU is leaving that ambiguity, I think we should continue to leave it simply ambiguous in a way that it's like a game of chicken who wants to spend a tile to block it or to continue it. So I do like this move by Rui quite a lot.
And it does work out.
It was very dangerous.
It was very dangerous indeed, yeah, and MTU actually saved one of his rodents, but this was still vulnerable. So Leo just simply had too many meeples to block. He now permanently blocked Red's meeple on the right, so this guy's trapped as 1 point, and now the Pole was forced to use a rather inspiring tile, which would have been a great scoring tile, but he's forced to use it for mere defense, which actually isn't like full defense anyway. Leo is now trying to put additional pressure. I think he hopes to get a straight line and then try and limit this square to just one dagger. So this is the dagger asymmetry that you mentioned earlier. And even if that happens, let's say if MTU gets the dagger, then this meeple has another test. You know, it's like one of those some sort of adventure superhero movies where just you like, first of all, you jump through lava and you almost die, but then you don't die. And then you like go through some sort of, I don't know, sharp rocks, and then you like, there's like heavy rain and you almost drown. So this is the fate of this meeple, right? So he's trying to kind of eke through this square, but then the next adventure awaits him over here. MTU is now indirectly protecting this city, and I wonder if he's trying to go big here. So with this Dorito tile, do you go for just this city building pattern like this, hoping to get 2 more Doritos, whilst 4 are still remaining in the deck? So that's actually a 60-something% chance, close to 70% chance, and we have our answer. I see your eyebrows raising, Guillermo. I assume this is not what you would have done.
Yeah, I was thinking about just continuing city at the top. Because, I mean, no, this is a good move, actually. No, I like this move. Yeah.
Like, it accomplishes
it's
so
very
much.
strong.
Like,
yeah, it's very strong.
yeah, like it's sort of, when you start thinking about it, like really sinks in. Because like it creates so much. First of all, it's even possible to finish the city with like 2 umbrellas or something like this. It also prepares a monastery spot, I was going to say. So, man, the Pole is really turning this game around. Leo, with a monastery of his own, now looking to meeple something. Just please don't go over here. That would be helping Red a bit too much. But where exactly do you go? Do you go over here for 6 points, trying to prepare a 4-point road with tempo? The downside is that, of course, it leaves a 4-point road over here on the left up for grabs for either side. Or do you go over here for 6 points, where maybe you could get harassed a little bit from this square, or maybe you do something else entirely. For example, going over here for 4 points, controlling MTU city, and also preparing to take advantage of this empty city cap.
I think I like the 6-point move. There are still 3 monasteries. It's quite a nice spot for monasteries. And taking this 6 points just because it's a bit safer. It's also an idea, but then we leave the 3-point road easier to be grabbed. Or just close with the crossroads. So I think I'll take the 6-point spot on the left.
The advantage of that 6-point spot is that there's still 3 field monasteries in the deck. And so you get to use them over here, and this is exactly what Rui thinks. I actually would have probably gone for that spot, and now it's more justified as Karol takes himself some more scoring opportunities, but maybe Leo was preparing this spot for an invasion, so it's not unreasonable to assume that yellow might just go over here and choose to play against the top city. But if I'm red, if red does this, I'm not saying this is a mistake. I'm probably relieved because I have so many construction projects of my own that I don't want to think about this. And look at this. Leo is Still having the idea of finishing the city, but now I expect it to be blocked, or maybe not. Because look at this, if MTU goes over here and blocks the square permanently, he's also indirectly blocking his own road, because now there are no road monasteries available, so he doesn't care. Wow, so I think we might actually see the city getting completed.
It's fun to see that so many both players set out to either block that square or save that square. Neither did none of those things, and the square is still there.
Yeah, just nobody cares. I think, like, as Leo, you have to go for it.
Yeah, you
because
need to.
It's just so good, right? And even if you...
Yeah.
And actually, you can probably even leave this road open, because it's no big deal to leave like some 4 points up for grabs. If your opponent takes this 4-point road, well, that's great. You have more time to finish it, and he does leave it open.
Exactly.
And look at this. Yeah, this is what's going to happen. It's now not possible to invade. So, well, when are we going to see his city? Oh, I think I see one very fun move for Leo. Are you thinking the same thing as I am, Guillermo?
Probably. Just taking the 2 points and saying, yeah, I'll get a Dorito.
But taking 2 points where exactly?
Right next to the city, facing like a road into it. There are like 4 Doritos with a road still.
Exactly, the road side inward. So this is a bit counterintuitive, because normally we associate road sticking into cities as blocking. But in this case, because there's still 4 of those remaining, and also like a horse plus city cap combo to bail out if you need, it's actually much, much safer to do. And also, if MTU gets something like a straight line, it's not unreasonable to assume that they're going to go over here to limit the square to only field Doritos, of which there's only 1 remaining. There are splitters, of course, but still, even combined with splitters, we would get ourselves fewer completing tiles for this ruin. And he finds this move.
Yeah. And even if MTU wants to try to block in on the top, he also exposes his own city to some sort of blocking attempt. So
yeah,
it's quite a safe move to make.
But I think he's gonna do it anyway.
He probably needs to do it, yeah, but at least there is that. If I block you, you block me.
Oof.
Oh, but this is not the blocking tile.
Well, nerves of steel. How would you do? How would you make this move without a meeple?
Wow.
Leo gets the 4 points, and MTU with a blocking tile. Ooh, just in time.
What a strong sequence! Very strong sequence.
Leo with a splitter of his own. And what do you do? Like, I guess you could continue. You could create another threat on the right. Just use the chance. Use the time that your opponent has whilst you don't have any. Basically, use the fact that your opponent is a meeple minority. And so if they want to invade our city, they are forced to do what? They're forced to use their last meeple. Or do we just take 4 points at the top, in which case we expose our square, and it's really would be nice to actually threaten the completion of that city? So I don't know.
Yeah. I like threaten the completion. And a farmer.
It's a very optimistic farmer. And
it's a very optimistic farmer.
It's a very optimistic farmer. So I think, of course, the idea of Leo is just bam, 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 city cap here, city cap here. I'm going to have 9 points. I'm going to have 12 points. The issue is that MTU can say, how about I go over here and you have not 9 but 3 points forever. This is a big ruin. The field has no green squares and you are blocked. It is also possible for the pole to ignore this, maybe just by going over here, taking 2 points, killing off a monastery spot, then putting some pressure on this square as well. But instead, of course, he goes there, and he's thinking whether to meeple it. And I don't know the answer to this question. I just want to see what he does. What's your take, Guillermo, here? Leave it alone, or meeple?
Feels like he needs to meeple it. But at the same time, it doesn't really want. I wouldn't want to maple it, but I would feel that I need to. So yeah, probably maple it. With my eyes closed, so I don't see.
I would meeple it reluctantly, and this is exactly what happens. And had he not meepled this, by the way, yellow would have gone over here and now truly, truly threatened an even larger city than before.
Yeah, but now red is necessary to play without meeples for, well, could be a short while. The monastery is quite close to completion. The road with an umbrella is also, well, there's only one umbrella, so, but the monastery can be easily,
That's an
recuperated
interesting...
and...
Oh no, I have to agree. Yeah, the monastery could easily recuperate. But what is that move? It's kind of... It's very weird to me. So MTU recovers his monastery meeple. Leo's not afraid of getting this guy blocked together with Red's monastery. Red also has essentially kissed goodbye to this road meeple because, if I'm not mistaken, this was the last curve. So in fact, there is now nothing that fits into this square. The only way to get this road meeple back is through an umbrella tile here, but it may not be possible, as Karol might be tempted to go for the 3 Dorito pattern, in which case he would finish the city, but the road would be prolonged and it would face this square, which is now completely blocked. Leo breaks the city off red at the top, so this guy will not be completing a city anytime soon, but a monastery is 1 tile away from getting completed. It also delays the meeple recovery for Leo at the bottom. 6 points ahead is what the pole is on the scoreboard. Interestingly, that with this tile, we can actually go and permanently block this square. There are no road Doritos and no splitters and no cows at all. Instead, he chooses to block a different square, which makes even more sense. There are no big tiles at all left here, so this city threat is never going to be finished. Some nice tile counting from the Portuguese player. Leo with a scoring tile. Probably looking to take 3 points and put this square under pressure. And this is exactly what happens. MTU still with the lead. He now can complete his monastery, and he can even think about meepling that road. It's not crazy. Or maybe it is crazy. Maybe instead he wants to go at the top and still try to threaten his city. I don't know. He's really debating about meepling that road. Well, there's only one road end tile available.
Yeah, that's the problem for taking the road. But it's 5 points.
And it also prevents your opponent from scoring. So he just needs to decide, is he ahead enough to actually play this defensively?
He might be. Unless Leo completes his 8-point city. I feel like if the yellow city at the bottom, if it is blocked, the position is maybe favoring red, just because red may still get his roads meeple out. The city at the top can grow, it can connect to yellow city on the right. And
he decided that he's ahead enough, but
get the closing tile. Good to see, good to see.
Okay, MTU with a scoring tile probably wants to... well, actually, do you want to prolong your city? Because if you prolong your city, you're inviting an invasion, and it is worth kind of a lot of points. Ooh, but maybe if you prolong it at the top, suddenly if your opponent invades, it's super easily blockable, and this exactly his intention. So Leo probably does not want to invade here. Instead, well, he has a meeple majority. I'm thinking of some farmers, because I think one thing that MTU is threatening is getting himself not a road end, but a road Dorito, adding 1 city point, 3 road points, and dropping a 9-point farmer. So if we just go over here, we could in theory anticipate that.
Yeah.
But
I like that. Get ahead of that field. I think it's a must.
But then also what I'm thinking, if we don't leave the city alone, there's a sufficient number of city caps for it to be finished. Bam, bam, bam. And it's 22 points and lights out.
True, but why? But then the order of the city caps would have to be quite precise, not to allow any sort of blocking attempts, because there are 3 spots, one very vulnerable, the other vulnerable, the other not vulnerable at all.
Actually, the
Maybe a straight
vulnerability of
line.
those could be overestimated. You know why? Because 2 field monasteries are still in the deck, and field monasteries are the most inflexible blocking tile in existence.
That's true.
So we do
Very
have an
true.
advantage on the farms. MTU is probably going to take 2 quick points, but how do you go? Like, what do you prioritize? Do you go over here and try to block a monastery spot for Leo, which is what he does? Or would you have gone at the top, simply trying to protect your city a bit indirectly?
I think I would block the monastery square, because MTU still can get meeples back, and I don't know how much he needs to complete his city, but maybe if that's his only way out and only way to win the game, he probably should have defended it. But now Leo just needs to stick the straight line there and cause pain.
Yeah, MTU still has plenty of options. So first of all, I guess he could still go here in theory, but now it will be prolonging Hui's field, so it's like, ultimately it's a wash. It's just a +1 move, so maybe not even something that you want to do. I think he's going to end up taking out the city cap, either by blocking it or by meepling it and hoping to complete. There's also this actually crazy move, trying to set up an 8-point city through either the umbrella or the dagger tile, which actually has still been lurking in the deck since basically the beginning of the game. It's also possible to just go over here and then leave yourself a chance to draw the last vanilla tile and then 2 city caps like this. But true low prob sequence to be trying, and with 6 points extra on the scoreboard, maybe I don't have to try to complete my city too hard.
It's a very unclear decision.
And he does want to take out that scoring option. He does not want to meeple it himself. That's very interesting. 1, 2,
There's still the
3.
Dorito, right? So
Yes, there's a Dorito.
that city's still alive.
Yeah. But you know what I'm thinking? I think MTU plans to invade the field. There's
to
still a
split
Dorito.
line.
Yeah, there's still a Dorito and there's still a dagger. And like, if Red draws something like the umbrella tile, he can go over here, get a road meeple back,
I see.
use his new road meeple, drop a farmer like this, and connect all the way through the square. And that should put him over the edge. Leo, with a monastery tile, looking to either shape the board to his liking or simply score, he could just use one of his many meeples, and with 8 tiles remaining, 2 meeples is appropriately categorized as many. And we could go here, score 5 points, or we could go here for 5 points, or we could go here, score 5 points. So which of the many...
I think I'll score 5 points.
But which of the 5-pointers do you prefer? So if you go over here, then it has the advantage of completely blocking MTU City, or Sophie's choosing blocking. Yeah, this is what he does. He surely is going to meeple it. Now, Red can't really do anything about this city realistically because he needs the same tile for both squares, so he's not even going to bother. The disadvantage of this move, or rather the advantage of the other placement, was that it would set up a move over here that would score for both monasteries at the same time. So that would be a way to benefit from stacking.
Yeah, I was more into that move just purely because of the 2-for-1 tile point scoring. But this move is also fine. And it just kills the city altogether, so we don't need to worry about that anymore.
I actually also figured that we... Whoa. Somebody's gambling?
You as well, yeah. Yeah, why not? If you're behind, you're behind, so...
I wonder, does Leo want to block that? Or does he want to just go along with the gamble?
Should probably block that.
But then it also sacrifices 1 point. And maybe if he blocks that, then suddenly MTU can overtake them. You know what? I think we've spent too much time without counting the points. So let's try and do that. Okay, so the Polish player had 6 points. Leo has 6 points for farmers. So it cancels out the scoreboard plus this. Then this 3 road cancels out with this 3-point farmer. MTU with the city cap does not have a good way to score. Maybe he's just going to go over here at the top, add himself 1 city point. Anyway, so 10 points for the monastery is what we have.
I think yellow is at +6.
I believe you, but I'm going to still draw the points on the board just so that I see for myself and so that our viewers can see. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2 for the city. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 for cities. And then the yellow guy has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Also 14. Wait, I counted less.
Yeah. How much less? Did you count the field?
Yes.
So... for your calculations, how much is it?
+3 for... Well, before this move. +3 for Leo. I trust anybody else's counting skills over mine.
I'll recount it. Oh, but they're playing now, so...
Yeah. Look at this. Like, MTU, he really needed one of those 2 city caps. And he ain't gonna get one of those 2 city caps. Well, he's gonna get the last city cap. And maybe if yellow is not careful, yellow will go over here in an attempt to block. But this would be severely misguided as the last remaining tile is in fact the umbrella tile. So MTU is guaranteed to finish himself this city. It won't be enough. So if Leo just does...
I think now... Yeah, I think Leo is at +5.
Only?
I want to say.
But he scored 7 over here. Actually 8, because it's an extra monastery point too. Actually, it's 2 extra monastery points.
6. Someone doesn't know how to count. That someone is me. Well, we'll see at the end of the game, right? But I think Leo is comfortably ahead. Because the max mtuu is going to do is 5 points by completing the city.
Like, I'm going to tell you, like, the secret to counting points correctly is being so far ahead that the exact point count doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's the ideal scenario.
Craft Giraffe is asking why red didn't connect the cities at the top. So the reason is, if you connect the city at the top, you're tying a 2-point city with a 6-point city of yellow. And if you make the move that red made, it is also a 4-point move, assuming that he completes the city. So it is the same move value, but This move is more likely to induce a mistake, because Leo might miscount the tiles, and based on his time trouble, this might be exactly what's happening. And he might accidentally sacrifice points to an unfruitful attempt to block this city. Oh, look at that! Oh, look at that! Oh, what a move from the Portuguese player with the precise counting. So it won't be decisive, but it's certainly very stylish. So the idea, of course, he recognized correctly that he can't block because this tile only helps red build the city. So he anticipated that the city would be completed and dropped a 3-point farmer, rather a 0-point farmer, which became a 3-point farmer. But why is it better than scoring 3 points for any other farmer or in any other way? And that's because he's also adding himself an extra monastery point, so that's a +4 move. So that's a great endgame from the Portuguese player, and it appears that we have ourselves another upset in just 2 games. How's that possible?
Said it's playing crazy well.
Yeah, 8 points ahead, and I have to say, like, I felt like MTU, Marvel Cinematic Universe, MTU played like so well with so these creative ideas, creating a threat over here, then managing to block Leo's city, then disrupting Leo's field, then like building those monasteries, all of that not quite enough with these.
The problem for MTU, it felt like to be the road into the city idea that really didn't pay off, and that's meeple disadvantage allowed Leo to meeple the field and then grow it to 9 points. That's probably the reason for the point difference, because MTU played very well, yeah, like you were saying. So
Yeah.
it was that entanglement of the city and road.
But also definitely a lot of credit goes to Leo, because he recognized the unusual nature of the pool of unseen tiles and used the fact that all of his starting tiles were out to his advantage by blocking one of red's meeples permanently quite easily, and then creating threats of blocking other red's meeples permanently in such a way that forced red to maybe spread his forces. How do you say that? To spread himself too thin by trying to build 2 cities of almost an identical shape, and he ended up completing neither of them. Anyway, well, congratulations to you, and congratulations to Rui. Slight commiserations to our Polish fans, but I need to remind you that MTU is still ahead in the Group E in the tournament standings, and still has an excellent chance of being first. Just 1 more round remains, and Leo still in the running. He will just need to win his round 5, and this probably should be enough to take care of the task of qualifying for the playoffs. I'm not going to show the tournament table right now, because we're going to be jumping in straight into the other match. So Warta against Portgard has been going on for quite a while. Please don't tell me it has already finished. It was only 14 minutes.
I was looking the same thing.
Okay, let me actually just update the score, because I always keep forgetting to do that.
It is already finished as of 6 minutes ago.
Yeah, I mean, I guess these players did not want to be streamed and just did everything they possibly could to avoid being seen. And 2-0 is the victory for the Vietnamese player. I really expected that match to last a little bit longer, especially given how important this was for Warta. But now the Brazilian player will in fact be losing his chances to qualify. And the Vietnamese player still has chances to qualify, obviously. Let me just update the scoreboard first. And now it's time to explore the tournament tables. So first of all, let's go to this Group E. So what happened now? MTU lost a match 2-0. Still in first place in the group. But now he's tied with Visitor Q completely because 3-6, right? Visitor Q won against Leo da Vinci 2-0 earlier this morning. So then these two players are completely tied. And am I not mistaken that it is exactly MTU and Visitor who are playing in the last round? Or maybe somebody can correct me. Or we can check this later. Oh, we have MTU in the chat.
Visitor already played.
Hmm?
MTU already played Visitor Q round 1, actually.
Well, I guess it actually favors MTU a little bit because, let's say, imagine if
I
they...
think it's MTU Spiro.
Oh, MTU against Spyro, yeah.
That's with Spiro.
Yeah, that won't be the easiest because obviously it's literally the highest rated player in the group. He just happens to be last in the standings. So then I think what MTU needs to do in order to preserve first place is not even necessarily win the last match. He just needs to do better than Visitor Q does in his match, which I believe is against Mick of Spain. And Leo da Vinci is probably playing against Kissimo. I think this is the last round
Yeah,
pairings.
I think so too.
Yeah. Again, Visitor Megkrag, that's probably a 50-50 match. They have played before evenly rated players, both plenty of experience at the World Team Carcassonne Online Championship. We will try and follow that. Now, Leo da Vinci, so they lost today, and they won today. They lost 2-0 and they won 2-0. So this means that Leo da Vinci's statistic is now completely identical to Kissimo. So it's actually very simple. In the last round, they will be playing the Hungarian for the qualification spot, and that's it. So whoever wins qualifies. Well, that's actually pretty easy. Now, as for that other group, let's have a look at Warta and Portgard. Now, Warta, sadly, with 4 losses in 4 matches now. Portgard, though, is one of the 2 players with 2 wins. So 2 for 2, 6-4. And... but Erwin is 2 for 2, 4-6. So Portgard is doing better than Erwin now. So he's currently now in 3rd place. Napalmai on 3-1, now in 2nd place, still has a chance to win against Samuelson and even claim 1st in this group. But then, who is playing? No, Warta is playing against Erwin, and Erwin would have a really good chance there because the Brazilian is no longer motivated as they can't qualify, although they might be motivated to get themselves a win in the first win in the tournament, and Erwin has all the motivation in the world. So if Erwin wins and Portgard loses with any score, Portgard is playing against Juha Hanemi, if I'm not mistaken. So if Erwin wins and Portgard loses, then Erwin qualifies. And if Portgard wins, then Portgard qualifies regardless of how Erwin plays because of a tiebreaker. I think we got it right. Did we get it right?
I think we did.
Okay, and then finally...
It was right.
Yeah. And now does, thank you also in the chat for confirming. Now, Juha Hanemi, do they have a chance to qualify? They are on 1 win in 3 matches, but they're playing against Portgard. And let's say if they win 2-0, they will have a negative tiebreaker of 5-7. Then Portgard's going to be on 2-3. And they will be on 6-6. Yeah, so then it actually means that Juhai Hanemi and Warta are both out of contention, and it will just be between Erwin and Portgard for the third spot. Also note that the reason why Juha Hanemi is out of contention is that, unlike Portgard, it took him 3 games rather than 2 to defeat Brazil's Warta. So this is where those tiebreakers come into play come the end of the tournament. Right. And now I think have everything clear. We have one more match today. Let me just go over here. The reason why I haven't actually set up that stream for Game Over is Sloan is because Game Over is playing now in the Mindsports Olympiad Catan tournament, and if he were to qualify later for the playoffs, then I would presume that they would arrange to cancel this match, but we are having ourselves a piece of content at around 8 p.m. regardless, so either we are watching Game Over versus Isloon Carcassonne for the potential #1 spot in Group B, or we're watching the Catan semifinals. And if we're not watching the Catan semifinals, then we're definitely watching the Catan finals, which is around 10 p.m. UTC. So there's definitely going to be Catan content tonight. There might be Carcassonne content tonight, so make sure to stay tuned. The stream is going to be scheduled at a short notice. In order to get notifications, you all, of course, will need to subscribe and click the bell notification icon. Also, make sure to meet the like button for the algorithm. It helps the algorithm more than you might think. Then that's going to be it. Thank you, Guillermo, so much for joining me.
Thanks for the invite.
And thank you all so much for watching, and I'm going to see you soon. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for joining. I thought it went pretty well.